Talk to the Hans is with us again this morning.
Good morning, Scotty.
How you doing?
Very well.
A bit chilly?
Yeah, I was looking out to see if there's any icebergs floating into an estuary because it's so
I
cold.
seriously had a beanie and gloves on this morning. I was so cold. I think it's like the coldest I felt all winter.
Well, they warned us.
They did.
Yep.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to talk about triggers because it's amazing how often we are triggered by other people's behaviour. And so a trigger means is that they're going to do something or say something and we're going to just feel it.
You're going to react.
No, not necessarily react. Sometimes we respond. In fact, the idea is to respond to a trigger and not
react.
Not react if you
But
can.
often triggers, just the word trigger means that it causes a reaction generally.
Yes.
Like a trigger means it causes a response in someone at least.
Yes, yeah. It's just that you feel it. And so someone will say something and mainly triggers are normally when you're slightly annoyed. You know, you feel the annoyance of it and you don't want to hear it or you don't want to be in that place where this person's saying that. But it's not just what people say. It's often the pitch and tone and even the way that they look or their whole demeanour can be a trigger. And so just the way that some people just walk into a room can be a trigger.
Can we get that wrong sometimes? Because I'm always feeling like my wife is grumpy at me or something. And I'm like, why are you upset? And she'll say, I'm not upset. But I'll say, well, your body language is telling me that you're upset. Like, can we get it wrong?
Look, most definitely. If you've got this idea that everybody around you should be happy, or that your wife should be happy all the time, and she's not happy, that could be a trigger for you actually, because you'll wonder why aren't you happy, or the whole idea of what's wrong. But she might be thinking about something that's got nothing to do with you. I often actually say to couples, I said, if your goal is to make your partner happy, then you're going to be disappointed a lot because not everybody is necessarily happy. Yeah. I know with my wife, she could be in a contemplative state. So she's thinking about something and it could be anything. It's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
She looks a bit sad, but that to me is no longer a trigger actually. Because, I mean, if she's feeling upset, it's not me. Unless she tells me.
You can go, well, she's just contemplating life and, yeah.
Yeah, but if your idea is that, that the other person should be happy, the fact that they're not happy could just be a trigger for you already, because we do like it when people around us smile, they're carefree and happy, and it makes us feel happy and makes us feel calm. I mean, that's the ideal state, but it's pretty hard in this world.
It's kind of unrealistic, isn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But triggers, it's become a real thing recently, and people seem to get triggered about everything. Like you're always hearing about how this person's triggered just because you have a different worldview and stuff like that. Like, how do you deal with all that?
Well, look, what's happened is people are very sensitive about all sorts of things. So it's normally people who are very sensitive about things that easily get triggered. And also people who have a sense of entitlement. In other words, people should behave in certain ways or they should have a particular view. And so people who have a sense of entitlement, that things should just happen in a certain way and they're not happening, they're also very easily triggered. And so some people are easily triggered by, say, if you're buying something and the shop assistant is not really friendly, or they're doing something, or someone could be just on a phone, on a device of some sort. That could be a trigger. If you're driving, you'll definitely be triggered. If you're driving and you want to get somewhere fairly quickly and you're in a bit of a hurry,
and there's a slow driver in front of you,
that is definitely a trigger. So I'd say a lot of listeners today who are listening to this while they're driving will know what it is to be triggered. And some people are not triggered at all while they're driving because they just don't care.
But they're probably ones that causing the triggering. They're like, I don't care. I'm going to go 60 in this 100 zone. I don't care. And the person behind them's going, get on with
it. So the less shoulds and oughts we've got about other people's behaviours, the less we're going to be triggered. So if we've got very low expectations of other people's behaviour, then we're going to be less triggered. The other thing is, if you are triggered, it's a good idea just to either take a breath, count backwards, 3, 2, 1, and the self-talk helps. You've got to do a self-talk.
I tried the 3, 2, 1 yesterday. It didn't work. I'm like, I'm going to have to start from 100.
What?
I was just,
How are you triggered yesterday?
I was so frustrated with a driver in front of me. And I'm like,
no.
all right, Can says to count from 3, 2, 1. So I went 3, 2, 1. No, still angry. All right, I'm going to go from 10, 10, 9, 8, 7. No, all right, I'm going to have to go 100. 1,000 was next, but 100 worked.
It did work, didn't it?
Yeah. I was
you're
okay
calm?
after that. Yeah. But took 100.
It took 100.
Yep.
Yeah. So the idea is for us to remain as calm as possible, because it's a good way to live, actually.
So in a relationship, say husband and wife, and one person's getting triggered, how do you do? Like lowering expectations of behaviour, obviously, is one thing.
Yep. Sometimes you need to make excuses for people. So they're probably just not feeling too good this morning, or they're worried about something, or so people actually make excuses for other people's behaviour. Are often people who can remain calm. They'll say, "Oh, they probably just had a bad day, or they're probably just a bit frustrated, or they're probably still feeling that sore toe that they had last night when they stubbed their toe against the bed post or something." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes if we make excuses for people, that can also help us to be untriggered, because you more or less, the behaviours that people have that could trigger you kind of try and understand. This is not how this person is normally. They're normally okay, but if they're a little bit frustrated or a little bit angry, or, they have that look, pitch, tone, annoyance, then you can make excuses.
But also understanding where people are at too. Like I listened to this little short segment this morning on YouTube, and it was a pastor in a church, and he's halfway through his sermon, and this guy starts like yelling and swearing and stuff halfway through his sermon, and so this pastor originally said, "Hey, look, great to have you here. We've got children around. Can you just please just withhold the swearing, Sounds anyway, it turned out this guy was a homeless man that had been invited by somebody from the church, and he came in, and all of a sudden the pastor said, "Okay, this is the leaving the 99 minute. We're going to pause this sermon, and we're going to, and so he basically got this guy and heard his life story. This guy was about to throw himself in front of a truck this morning, and had this crazy life story." Now, this guy was in tears. It was a beautiful moment in the church, and they committed to getting this guy some help and stuff. But we can be triggered, just say, by this guy swearing. But then when you hear the deeper story behind it, then all of a sudden you just have a whole bunch of compassion for them as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's very good. That's a very good story, actually. I mean, that's what it is. When people are upset, most people are upset for a reason. And so if we're there just to hear them out and listen to them, that's with our partners too, actually. If they are upset,
just get over it and stop doing that.
You'll never get this answer. Oh, thanks for telling me to get
over it.
Okay,
right, I'll get over it. Thanks very much.
I really
Thanks for showing me what I was doing wrong.
I really appreciate it. I feel so good now that you've told me not to do this. Anyway, so look, we're all going to be triggered today at some point with some person's behaviour or what they're saying. And so if you can actually develop, I'm not going to be triggered anymore. So in an ideal, if you do that well, like you decide, well, I'm not going to be triggered. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to remain calm. It's okay. This is just the way it is. You'll find yourself easier to get on with most other people, actually. But people who are very quick on the trigger and very quick to express their upsetness over even the smallest things, they just are people who repel people. But if you're a person who's calm, it's okay, it's fine. I understand. You haven't.
I like being around this guy.
Yeah, you like being around this person. Yeah. So the less triggers you have, the more you'll attract people, because we like calm people.
We do. Thanks, Hans. Love it.
Good on you.
See you next week.
Yes.
That was good. I like that one.
Yeah, we'll do it next week again. Actually, we might extend it because there are other triggers that are that are around.
Oh, I forgot to do the weather.